right, welcome to Screen Time with today's Communiqué. So indeed honored to have Dr. Lonnie Williams as our special guest with us today. We're in the month of June. Of course, Father's Day is celebrated in the month of June, and we're going to be celebrating all month long. But before we get into our conversation, we do want to give a special shout out and thank you to Mr. Billy Moody with Q Clothier, located in the promenade at Chenal. Q Clothier, clothing for the modern man. So thank you, Dr. Williams, for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure to be here. I'm humble and flattered to have been asked.
Yes, sir. Before we jump into our conversation, let's learn a little bit about you. So if you could just give us a brief bio and a little bit about your career path, that would be great.
All right. Well, I'm from the big metropolis of Stevens, Arkansas, down in South Arkansas. Population about 891 people right now. I did my education at the University of Arkansas. I worked there for 27 years. Began my career over here at Arkansas State in 2003. I had three positions here. I am currently now the Vice Chancellor for Diversity and Community Engagement, co-edited an award-winning magazine called African American Perspectives of Northeast Arkansas for about 7 years here, and also co-edited a book called African American Perspectives. Yeah, they say it's a poor dog that won't wag his own tail. Uh, Remembrances in Black, Personal Perspectives of the African American Experience, University of Arkansas, 1940s to 2000s. So that's a brief history of me.
Wow. And of course, you are a father. Tell us a little bit about your children, maybe ages, things like that.
Well, it gets a little bit hard to tell ages when you get to be my age. So I think the ages run from like 41 to about 53. We have a blended family of 7 children. My wife brings in 4, I bring in 3. We have about 9 grandchildren and 2 great grandchildren. And actually, at this point in time, when you become a grandparent, you love the grandchildren a little bit more than you do your regular children. Yes.
Yes, I can definitely identify. I have nieces and nephews, and my parents just love all over them.
Oh, yes.
Yes, yes, it's their job to love all over them and to give them back. Yes.
That's the best part. Give them back. They're only there for 2 days generally, and then they go back home. Yes.
Right. So we're talking about fatherhood, Father's Day, all things fatherhood. I know it's been a few years since you became a parent, but if you can think back for me and just reflect a moment about what that feeling was like when you learned that you were becoming a parent, and share a little bit about that with us.
You know, I became a father in what one would say not the traditional way. So I was talking about getting married, but hadn't yet made that decision, and then found out my she was pregnant. So we moved up the marriage date and got married. But so the main thing, other than getting over the shock of finding out I was about to be a parent, first thing came to mind, I got to get a job because I was still in my last semester of college and had 18 hours to go, and all of a sudden I'm going to be a father. The responsibility of that hit before the birth occurred. So finding a full-time job, making preparations, because you want to be able to support the family that you're about to bring into the world. And I wanted to be present in my child's life. I did not want to be the father who wasn't there 24/7. So, we wanted to get married, be together, and bring this child into the world in the traditional format and having a mother and a father. But I'm here to tell you, it was scary part getting that job and finding out. But at the birth, that was a different story. As soon as you find out that the child is healthy, it's beautiful, and everything is all right, you should try to show all of your teeth at that point in time. You really do. You understand that little stereotype of where people want to go out and pass out cigars. That feeling is something special, something special.
Yes. And so when you're thinking about how fatherhood and bringing the child into the world was something special for you, um, what would you say defines success for you as a father?
I think At this point in time in my life, the thing that defines success is that you kind of move from being a father to being a friend. That your connections are there, and you're in regular contact. The conversations shift, the respect is still there, but the conversation shift, and it's more of a friendship as well as it is as being a parent. And to have that feeling and that they're still there with you, they still respect you, they show their love through the gatherings and everything. And every once in a while, one of them will and just tell you how much they appreciate what you've done. It's a great feeling. Yes, that's when fatherhood really kicks in. Yes,
Yes, yes,
rewards.
absolutely. So, can you think back and reflect upon any special activities that you and the kids did that was a favorite of yours, be it, ball games or fishing or any special activities that you and your children shared together that you can reflect upon that kind of give you a warm, fuzzy feeling inside?
Yeah, I think some of the things that I think about and smile more so about is that, like I said, we have a blended family now. So with my first marriage, my kids were about 4 hours away. I was in Fayetteville and they were in Pine Bluff. And I think about those long 4.5 hour drives to pick them up and then to bring them back and take them back home, and some of the conversations and things that we would do in the car to kill those 4 hours. And we would listen to all type of music and stuff. And my son still remembers of some of those blues songs, and we still laugh about that kind of stuff today. So having those moments in the car for 4.5 hours where you're entertaining them, and with children being children, they're mostly entertaining you as well. So those are some of the moments that I cherish, and I think a lot about those long 4 hour, 4.5 hour drives, and then picking them up and going down and spending the weekend with my parents and sharing and spending time with them so they can be with the grandkids. It was time on the road. Yes, time on the road that that I remember the most and take most enjoyment about.
Wow. And speaking of grandparents,
Mhm.
a great segue into my next question.
Okay.
Oftentimes, it is said that when one becomes a parent, they turn into their parents. So, if you can think back to a time where there was something that your parents said to you or something that they did that you in turn find yourself doing or saying to your children or with your children, what one or two things can you think of that your parents either said or did that now you find yourself saying or doing?
I'm thinking back to my father. In high school, I had a truck, and the truck probably wasn't worth $500. And all my friends and classmates had cars. So they had shiny wheels and stuff on the cars and stuff. And I wanted to put some shiny wheels on my old truck. My work truck, it was a work truck, but I wanted to put some shiny wheels on that. And my dad said, boy, it doesn't make any sense to put wheels on there that's going to be worth more than the truck. It makes no sense. And I find myself telling my children that these days. I said, you got to think careful in how you invest your money and your time. And and especially if they ask for money, and which very few do at this point in time. My parents say, if you ask for my money, you ask for my opinion. And yeah, if I'm going to give you my money, I got a right to give you my opinion about what you're doing and stuff. So those are some of the things that let me know that I'm turned into my parents, because I catch myself when I use some of those phrases with them, trying to tell them to be careful how you use your money, you manage your money and stuff. And definitely if you need to borrow some, I'm going to tell you what you've been doing wrong that got you in this situation.
I
Yes.
love that quote. If you ask for my money, you're asking for my opinion. I haven't heard that one. That is, that is indeed true.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yes.
And so that brings me to another question. Um, you became a father years and years ago. And
Mhm.
so what do you see that is different, the challenges that face parents today, or similarities or differences than what you faced as a parent years and years ago?
You know, I go the same situation that I found myself in. Getting find out you're going to be a father and you're not going to be with the mother. I think that's a hard way to bring someone in. I mean, not judging, but you really want to try to be in that person's life 100% of the time. And it's kind of hard to do it when you're in two different households. So, and it can make a difference. Yeah, I know I missed it terribly. I know how much I missed out on not being there 24/7 as they got older. And I regret those moments that I was not there 24/7. So that's one of the things that I want to pass on to someone who's getting ready to come. Try to get in a situation where you can be there with them 24/7. You miss too much stuff. It's strange that you can miss something just that quick. Hearing those first words, missing those first steps, the first thing that they do that's funny, and it means a lot. And later on in life, you will regret that you missed that opportunity. So try to do something where you be in a situation where you're going to be in their lives 24/7. That's the best advice I can give somebody.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. We know that being a parent, it crosses all realms,
Yes.
from being a biological parent to being a mentor to being a step parent, a godparent. And so when you think about that, and considering the fact that you are a chancellor at a university now, I know that there have been times where you've kind of had to take off the chancellor hat and put on the father hat or the parent hat, for all intensive purposes, for your students. And can you think about a time where that has indeed happened, and what maybe the circumstances were, and what bits of advice that you gave that student who needed you to be a father figure at the time and not the chancellor or the dean of the school?
You know, a recent one that I had, um, I get the police reports quite often. I get them every day. So sometimes a name will come through that police report then that rings a bell that I know. And I've called that student in to have a conversation because due to FERPA, I cannot call the parents and tell them what's going on. So, you bring the student in and you close the door. And it's because I met you with your parents. Your parents entrusted you to me, not to the school. They have my cell phone number, not my office number. They have my cell phone number. So this is a conversation that we're going to have. And I've done that on many occasions. And I guess, and the reward comes later on in life, like when you have Father's Day. When Father's Day comes next Sunday, uh, two Sunday, the third Sunday, I won't only get calls and text messages from my 7 children. I will get calls and text messages from those folks who had those conversations in my office, who's run into some difficulties and had some problems even while at the U of A or over here, who's been grateful and who received some guidance that they may not have gotten at home, or that got them out of a bad situation when they were in school under my care. That's fatherhood in a different way, but it's the same thing to watch college students that you work with get out and become productive, have those families, and embrace fatherhood as well. That's a good feeling in itself.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, how does it make you feel to know that you've made a difference, in not only your biological children's lives, but your students? After all these years, you're still hearing from them, about how grateful they are that you stepped in, for them and to be there for them. Talk a little bit about that and the feeling, that you feel when that happens.
Life is full of all kind of challenges, and there are moments in your life when you can really be so low. As they say, you got to tiptoe to step over the edge of look over the edge of a razor blade. You can be that low, but you all of a sudden you might have some cards that you saved. You have it here in the drawer. You go back through those and you pull them out, and you use those as pick-me-up moments. I
Mhm.
have a drawer full of thank you cards that I do like that. And when those calls come in on Father's Day or my birthday from those other individuals, that is a major pick-me-up. You know, people talk about that dash between the time you're born and the time you die, and death and what you've done between. You know, you want to live your life so that you hear what they're going to say about you and not just the audience. And it's a wonderful feeling to hear it for yourself instead of wondering about what somebody's going to say about you when you're gone. So at least once a year, and probably twice, birthday and Father's Day, I'm told how what difference I've made in someone's life. And it's a great feeling. It is a great pick me up.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And so, one final question
Okay.
for you: the role of faith.
Yes.
How did faith, or how does faith, play a role in your job as being a father, not only to your children but to others for whom you mentor? What role does faith play?
Well, I try to let folks see my faith. I was brought up in the church. Went to church when I was in college. Been definitely in church since I've become a professional. And even here now, I don't go to just one church. I'm in church most every Sunday, but it may not be in one church because I want the community, since my part of my job is community engagement. I want them to see that I am a faith-based person as well. I want the students to know that I am a faith-based person. So, that also lends to trust. When people see that you believe and you have faith, they're going to trust you more so than they would otherwise. So I try to set that example, and believe me, I'm praying all the time. When you're dealing with this many students and this kind of situation you can find yourself, you're praying all the time, and you want to live the life, not just talking. And so, yeah, faith plays a great part in my being a parent. Then send my children to church, took them to church, let them see me going to church. They know on Sundays I'm in church if they're not in church now as adults. So they know my lifestyle still. And I try to instill that in them as well.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I mean, oftentimes when we see on television the way the media portrays Black men in particular, and Black fathers, to know that you are walking the walk, talking the talk, like so many other fathers out here today. On behalf of everyone, um, we appreciate you for what you do and what you continue to do for the community. So thank you so much, Dr. Williams, for
Thank you for
sharing
having me.
with us. Yes, sir. And again, Father's Day is not just the third Sunday of the month. Father's Day is every day.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
So happy Father's Day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And that's a wrap.
All right. Appreciate it so much.